Sixers pre- and post-game analyst Marc Jackson here from NBC Sports Philadelphia.
Got a lower body injury that we have to find out more about. If it was hockey, we'd say it's a lower body injury.
Yeah, that's right. I saw the boot there last night.
Yeah, man.
What are you running up? What are you running up and down the court? What do you get? Is this like a men's league injury?
No, it's one of those things. Actually, I was playing foul five, but I realized something was going on that wasn't right. But I had a little incident of fluid on my ankle, and I had to go ahead and take it out. Have it set assist and take it out. That was on my nerves. But been in the booth for about 5 weeks. Looks like I'm being there for another 3 more.
All right. Well, one guy who was out for 68 games made his return last night, and that's one Markelle Fultz. And I'd like to get your opinion on what you thought of his return. I mean, surprising what he was able to give in 14 minutes last night after missing 68 games?
Actually, no. People don't believe when I say this, but this is what I expected from him. I expected him to have a great shooting night, but I expected him to be able to get to the hole and cause some issues and open a lane up for other people with the second unit. He did a good job of that. Now, it was some rust. I expected some rust, and you see at the very first play, he runs head-on with Mason Plumlee. So, those things are going to take some time to come out. But he can give him a lot. He really can.
What makes you excited about what you saw from him last night? I mean, did you see glimpses of a guy that you now understand why they took this guy number one? I mean, because there was a couple things that I saw that I was like, okay, there's the reason why this guy was highly regarded as he was.
Yeah, one thing about Markelle is Markelle's a scorer. He's a scorer. He's a three-way scorer. He can score the ball by getting to the rim. He can shoot the mid-range, and he can shoot the three. Now, I don't know if he has that three-point rhythm back, but I think time will eventually get him back to normal. But I knew he was able to score and knew he's actually a pretty good defender. He has great wingspan, as you can see on that block he had when someone tried to finish around the rim. Murray tried to finish, and he caught it from behind. He's a great defender. He can score the ball. These are things I expected, and 76 are lacking some offense with the second unit, and that's one thing you can give them.
Marc Jackson with us here on the Sports Bash. Sixers win last night, but they also get to see Markelle Fultz. Now, do you think that Brett will use him more and more over these next 10 games? Last night it was 14 minutes that Brett said he wanted to get him. 14 minutes he went. How many minutes do you think he'll get as we get through these next 9 games?
To be honest, I really don't think, unless they really have a time when he kills somebody by 30, 40 points, I really don't see Markelle getting more than 14 minutes. I really think he's not going to, Coach Brett Brown will not try to put him and Ben on the floor for too long together, because it might throw off chemistry. Right now, he can get him on the floor when Ben's not in it, and Markelle would take Justin Anderson's minutes. And Markelle would be a ball handler along with TJ. And he would, I don't see him trying to throw the chemistry off that much with this many games left in the regular season. I really think he'll keep it kind of what he played last night. 12 to 14 minutes, 16 max if Ben's in foul trouble. But I think he would just let it go the way it is currently, like he showed last night. Can't see him increasing more.
When you look at Markelle Fultz, do you see him more of a passer of the basketball or a scorer of the basketball?
He's a scorer. He's a scorer combo guard. I don't think he's primarily a point guard. I think he's a combo guard that's very adequate at doing the shooting guard point of view or the point guard point of view. So I think that's why he works so good with Ben Simmons. I really do think they could be a good combo.
Maybe the only thing he had trouble last night with was the media afterwards. Did that give you pause when he didn't want to talk about his injury at all? Do you think he just needs to learn the veteran savvy answers of like the past is in the cliches? Hey, the past is in the past. I want to talk about the present or something instead of just standing there and saying absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that was a very awkward moment for everyone, for him and the media members around him. It was very interesting that he didn't answer it. I think, but you got to remember, he's been hidden away except from like a deer from hunters who sit back in the trees and they're hunting their deer from a distance. And, we think about the last 3 months of Markelle, we've only been seeing little videos from far away with him shooting with somebody one-on-one. We haven't been able to get our hands on him media-wise. So he's kind of rusty with that too. But I think his basketball game will come back to him more easily than learning how to answer and deal with the media. So, I think next interview will be a lot better.
Marc Jackson, Sixers pre- and post-game, NBC Sports Philadelphia. Adding Fultz and what you saw, does that make you feel that this team can make a deeper run or about, the same as where they were?
I think it's about the same as where they were because one thing about the 76ers, I think they're a tall order. To try to guard, to try to defend, the game plan for. When people say, who you should be scared of in the playoffs, the 76ers has to be on the top of the list. The Sixers and OKC, because those teams have good players. They have good chemistry. Over the Sixers have great chemistry. OKC does have 3 phenomenal players. But I think the Sixers have a good chemistry, good overall defense, and a coach that's leading them in the right direction. So it's a scary situation for anyone who's looking to try to advance is to see Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and the 76ers uniform now with Markelle Fultz in the lineup.
Hey, Mark, the way they're playing, the way that these games have kind of, they're blowing the doors off some of these teams. Minnesota got back into that game the other night, but they were up, 29?
Right. Well, the third quarter's been a big difference, Mark, and I talked with Mike about this, too. They've had plus 18, plus 16, plus 20, plus 19. You guys had a graphic up last night called Creating Separation, and it visually showed me that, what's happening in the locker room at halftime that they're coming out and blowing the doors off these guys in the third quarter.
And that's been a big Achilles heel for this team. This team has struggled in the third quarter. They really have, up until the last 7-8 games where they've showed a different side to them. But I'm going to be honest. I truly believe a lot of those third quarter woes they used to have has pretty much been answered with getting more firepower in Ilyasova and Bellinelli to come off the bench, because at the end of that third quarter, when you bring in when Joel gets off the floor, the team struggles a little bit because Ben is not, as of now, a scorer. So this team is looking for scorers in the third quarter, and they didn't really have that. Now with the acquisition of Marco Bellinelli, Ersan Ilyasova, that gave them firepower. So they didn't go these lows where they couldn't score. While these other teams are making runs, now the Sixers are able to put points on the board themselves.
And the one thing, yes, they've added more talent, but it also seems that they've learned how to kind of keep you off and keep you at bay and close these games out. And we thought they were turning that corner maybe about a month or so ago, but as we get down the stretch run here, it seems that, that taste of the playoffs and getting close to there, and as the season's gone on, they have really started to figure out ways to close these games out a little bit better than they were even a month ago. You're starting to see more development from this young crew that sometimes we forget how young these guys are.
Exactly. Maturity. You want to see constant growth. See, the problem with the millenniums is they want to see instant gratification. One thing that's been wonderful to watch is the blossoming of this team. They have truly started to mature slowly before your eyes. It wasn't a buying it's there. It's now you watch this, now watch that. Oh, they added that. So slowly but surely progressions in their development throughout the course of the year. And it's really going a long way to what Brett Brown and the assistant coaches have done throughout the year to bring them all together as a whole.
Yeah, and the schedule down the road, they got a situation. You think this team gets to 50?
I do. I really believe that 7-2 for the next 9 games is not a tall order to ask from this team. Because now people say, should they sit Joel? No, you shouldn't sit Joel. Because you need to try to establish home court advantage. Any advantage you can get goes a long way in the NBA playoffs. So, no, they should not sit Joel Embiid. They can try to limit his minutes once they secured a massive lead like they have of late. Joel Embiid only played 27 minutes last night. He is the go-to guy for this team. So he can still keep his rhythm by playing in the games as well as still get rest by limiting his minutes.
And one guy over the last couple of weeks, maybe 2 weeks or so, Mark, who seemingly is playing more confident is Robert Covington. Starting to see him be a little bit more confident with his shot and everything. And he's kind of a key guy to pull a lot of this offense and a lot of things together.
He really is, because first of all, he's going to give you very consistent defensive effort every night, no matter who's on the floor. He's starting to help on the rebounds, getting you 5 or 6 rebounds a game. He's always going to defend, like I just said. But when he's shooting and his shots are going in, that's just another scoring threat because he's going to be on the floor. He's not going to necessarily be on the floor for his scoring, but you do want him on the floor because his ability to be a lone defender and kind of make it difficult for these wing offensive players to get their groove on. And he's doing a good job of that. But when he's hitting shots at a consistent clip, that is a big plus.
Mark, when you look at a team that's 18-1 at the Wells Fargo Center since the calendar turned to 2018, you think the rest of the league sees that too and says, no way, we want to go into that building?
Exactly. Philadelphia has always been a very difficult environment to play in. Now you got people who's exciting the crowd, to want to be asking the crowd, get on your feet. Not just when you're on defense, but when I'm shooting foul shots. With all that being said, that's just the crowd want a reason to blow the roof off the place, and Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons has given them that. And then you put more fuel on the fire by bringing Markelle Fultz back into the lineup. Oh, man, the place is already being sold out every game this year. Man, you got people standing at the door trying to scalp tickets because they're trying to get in and show their appreciation.
Mike threw out the theory earlier in the show that on Friday, April 6th, that game against Cleveland, that could be for the 3 seed.
Yes. Wouldn't that be something to play against the best player in the world and fighting for something as big as the 3 seed? That any advantage helps, and especially if you can get that win, versus LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you get third place at the same time, oh, man. Oh, can you imagine the momentum this team would have going into the playoffs? Oh, I would love to see that.
Well, and guess what? That game's at home, so it would really be a good indicator if that home court advantage really is the advantage that it seemingly is in 2018. We'll have that game for you here on 97.3 ESPN, along with the rest of the schedule and the playoffs, because the Sixers are back in the playoffs for the first time since 2012. Marc Jackson, Sixers pre- and post-game, NBC Sports Philadelphia, kind enough to join us here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Go Sixers.